I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be accepted. And so I started kind of diving deeper into that music. The worse, the heaviest, the darkest, the darker it was, the more aggressive it was, the more I wanted it. And I was unknowingly becoming drawn into a deep world of darkness and evil. You're talking to the metalhead, right? I was the church metalhead guy, mohawk and the spiky bracelets and my combat boots. I did not want to go sit through yet another sermon that I knew I was going to fail at. I said, Lord, I'm just done. I can't do this. You demand holiness from us, and I can't do it. I closed my eyes. There was no introduction. There was no warning. There was no nothing. Instantly, I was engulfed in flames. I was staring at, and I was in the presence of, the absolute source of pure evil, unimaginable. And the evil coming from these things was so bad, even my spirit body couldn't handle it. The instant I stopped screaming, 3 of them ran up to me so fast. I just could not believe what I was seeing. I knew that I was going to be in this place forever and ever and ever and ever.
Hi, welcome to Touching the Afterlife. This is Julie. Our guest today is Joel. Joel has a powerful testimony. At one point, he used to be into the dark music scene. He was beginning to feel some frustration and condemnation, and he cried out to God, and God gave him a miracle. And then later on, God showed him hell. So welcome with me today, Joel. Hi, Joel. Thank you so much for being with me.
Hello, Julie. Thank you for having me.
So today, Joel, I would love for you to start out with maybe when it all began. You were into some dark music scenes and arts. Do you want to start there?
Absolutely. During the preteen years, when I went from elementary school to middle school, that was such a transition. I wasn't hanging out with kids my age anymore with our colorful backpacks and lunch boxes. I was now in a school with people years older than me with long hair, jean jackets, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Slayer, and they scared me, but they intrigued me at the same time. And that's where I began to feel this draw. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be accepted. And so I started kind of diving deeper into that music, and it wouldn't be long before I was listening to, and I don't know how I could looking back, but I was listening to the hardcore satanic bands like Deicide, which means the death of God, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, the worst, the heaviest, the darkest, the darker it was, the more aggressive it was, the more I wanted it. And going into high school, it was a whole nother school. And going there, I was the only long-haired headbanger in school. So to say I didn't have any friends was an understatement. It was rough, but I ended up making a friend who was also a metalhead. And we began, at that time I was wanting to learn guitar, which I was, but he knew it a lot better than me. And he took me in like a brother. And we became very close. But it was, at that age where you're feeling rejection from others, you're feeling acceptance from others. And I'm not realizing I'm being drawn to these people. And I was unknowingly becoming drawn into a deep world of darkness and evil.
So, Joel, from that point, what was next? Were you in a band? Where did you go from there?
Yeah, we had been practicing quite a lot. We wanted to form a band like any teenager, rockhead, metalhead musician would want to. But what the turning point was one day when I was at his house. He wanted me to wait in the garage. He had something to show me. He went inside. He comes back out with the poster board, and he had this drawing of this demonic entity, and it looked hideous and evil. It was in a black cloak, and of course I'm, oh cool, what is this all about? And he said, I have a name for our band. I said, what's that? And he said, Necronomicon, which I'd never heard that word in my life. I said, what is that? He said, it's the book of the dead, the book of the damned. Just like God has the book of life, Satan has the book of the dead. Not thinking twice about it, I said, let's do it. And little did I know, in that moment, I opened a doorway. I made an agreement with the enemy, some sort of a tie with the enemy. And that very night would begin. I mean, the downward spiral was already bad enough, but now it got real bad. And that's when I began. He introduced me to drugs. His mother was a hardcore Wiccan. She had some cool things she wanted to show me, but almost nightly from that moment of agreement with him and the enemy on, I would have the worst demonic encounters in the night, all kinds, being levitated, scratched, seeing all kinds of demons in all their various kinds of forms. And the drug use got so bad. I was into the methamphetamines. I lost everything to methamphetamines. I couldn't get enough. And finally, at the age of 19, I had to come to wits and say, okay, something's wrong. Something's terribly wrong with my life. I used to know this God. I used to know his son, Jesus, if even a glimpse, but I knew him and I loved him. What's become of me? I was ready to receive Jesus into my life.
Wow. So at that point at 19, is that when you began going to church? And then take us from there.
Yes. So when I did receive Jesus into my life, it was get baptized, which I didn't really know what that meant. I thought you just went in the water, you came out, and then you started speaking tongues and healing people. And I realized, well, that doesn't happen. And no one mentored me. So from 19 on, I just assumed it was up to me to stop doing this and that and start doing the other things. And the more I made myself righteous by my own willpower and tenacity, then I would be close to Jesus eventually.
Right. So it was almost like a to-do list.
A to-do list. Yeah. Stop doing this, start doing that, and Jesus will love you more.
Yeah. So Jesus shook things up for you and showed you something and broke that off of you. Tell us about what happened.
Yeah. So at the, how strange when I think about it just now, at the age of 33, I would like to think, if you will, I was doing pretty good, right? Not with the attitude of, well, at least I'm not that person, but I mean, so many bondages had been removed. I had just quit smoking too. I was so happy about that. That was the hardest thing of all. And I'm like, I'm past this. This is great. But that Sunday morning, it was sometime in April. I was, by that time, I'm 33 years old. So from the age of 19 to 33, I'm trying to do it myself. Yes, I'm seeing things change, but inside of me, I still feel like that the inside of me is still me. Yeah, maybe I'm not doing it anymore, but I still want it. Or maybe I stopped doing that, but all I did was replace it with something else. So am I really any better? And that Sunday morning, I woke up in my spirit, I was just so sad. And it was a Sunday morning. And it's not that I didn't want to go to church because I had other things to do. It was that I did not want to go sit through yet another sermon that I knew I was going to fail at. And it was try and fail, try and fail, try and fail. And I was so frustrated. I did just say out loud to the Lord. I threw my hands up. I said, Lord, I'm just done. I can't do this. You demand holiness from us, and I can't do it. I try, but I fail, Jesus, and I quit. And right in that moment, and this was one of the first times that I do remember hearing from him, spirit to spirit. It wasn't some audible voice like the 10 Commandments, but his spirit was speaking to my spirit. And I got to tell you, I had no doubt in my mind that it was him. It was absolutely Yeshua. And he was so peaceful, so reassuring, so gracious and kind. And he spoke to me like in a whisper. And he said, Joel, I want you to be in fellowship this morning. Go, be in my presence. Come into my presence and be in fellowship this morning. And so I said, okay. And so I went. And as worship was going, I decided I'm not going to go with a bad attitude and sit there with my arms folded, hiding in the corner. I'm going to go with all my broken heart. I'm going to go. And so I sang too, with all that I could. And I tried to smile. I tried to be nice, you know. And so we all sat, and the pastor came out, and he began the message. And I'll just keep going, Julie, okay?
Please.
Okay. So he comes out, and the message is titled "Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places." So I'm thinking, okay, I get the gist, but I'm listening. I'm listening. And he opens the Bible, and he starts speaking. He's not even 2 minutes in. And he's in the middle of a sentence, and he just stops. And he's staring straight ahead, and his eyes are this wide. And he's not saying a word. And it's like he's looking at someone. And after a little bit, we're looking at each other thinking, is he okay? What's going on? This had never happened before or since. And then after a minute, he kind of blinks, and he's looking around at us, and he says, you guys, I'm sorry. This hasn't ever happened to me before. The Lord just stopped me. He said, we need to stop the sermon, stop everything right now. We need to come before his throne in prayer. And we're all like, okay, well, let's go. And so he said, everybody, let's just close our eyes, bow our heads, and come before the Lord in prayer. And I said, okay. So I closed my eyes, and I'm bowing my head, and everything is going dark. And I had no idea what was about to come next. As I'm closing my eyes and things are going dark, in the spirit, I'm opening my eyes, and everything is becoming bright.
Wow. So you felt like you didn't feel like you were in church praying. You were in this place. That's what it seemed like you were there.
I guarantee you where I was nowhere on earth. I was immediately the glory of God. And I can't tell you. I knew that I was getting ready for this, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to cry, but it's impossible. The glory of God, the power of his might and his majesty hit me. The best and only way I could describe it, Julie, is it would be like if you were standing right in front of a supernova. His power, his majesty, his might, his glory, his radiance, his authority over all things just came over me in the most spectacular light, a light and a brilliance millions and millions and millions of times beyond any sun in our universe. And I kind of stepped back, and and I just remembered all I could say was, oh, wow. Oh, wow. And then I could start to see more in front of me and around of me. And I realized I was standing on top of a large grassy hilltop. Absolutely beautiful. Every single blade of grass was perfect and pristine, and not just alive biologically, but alive. And flowers here and there and all over the place that you would never see here on earth. And just everything, since seeing heaven, when I drive about now, it doesn't regardless wherever I'm at, as beautiful as it is, there's always that one dead twig to just ruin that perfect tree, or that, that grass is great, but you just see the little spots where there isn't. And just imagine if there was none of that. Everything was perfectly alive. It was so amazing. And what really threw me for a loop was watching the blades of grass and the flowers swaying like this. And I knew it was not the wind. They were praising God. Every blade of grass, every flower, every tree, the birds, the fish, the water, the rocks, everything is praising God and singing to him all together in the most perfect harmony. If you were to hear this music of heaven here on earth, I'm telling you now, you would collapse to your knees. You just wouldn't be able to handle it. And I just was marveling at all this. Everything is singing to God continually without ceasing. And I'm